Hey guys, welcome back to Learning How to Go British. Today we're going to talk about the past perfect simple and the past perfect continuous, which are very similar. They are used together with the past simple when we want to mention an action previous to another one. For example, imagine that Christian is in the classroom ready to begin, but suddenly he realizes that it is Christmas Day. So he starts putting up the tree, decorating the classroom with all the presents, the stocking, the bells, and the reindeers. The reindeer? Anyway, and later the students arrive in the classroom and they see everything so beautiful that they say, "Hey Chris, very well done, you are amazing." So I can say Christian had already decorated the classroom when the student arrived. As you can see, I have got two actions. The first one is in past perfect because it's previous to the second one, which is in past simple because it happens later. First, he decorates, and second, the students arrive. I can also say that in past continuous. For example, Christian had been decorating the classroom when the student arrived. The same, two actions. The first one in past continuous occurs previously to the second one, which is the student arriving, which is my second action. And the two sentences are exactly the same, but the first one is a point or expresses a point in the past, and the second one expresses a progressive action in the past. Okay? So let's see the structure for the past perfect simple. It is very easy. We need the auxiliary verb of the perfect, which is have, but in this case in the past. So it is have. And the main verb in past. For example, Antonio had already found the book when Elo asked him. And when is a connector, which I'm going to explain you later, okay? Also, I say the student had arrived in the classroom before the lesson started. In both cases, I've got two actions, and the first one happens in the first place and the second one happens after that, okay? Now, look at this other sentence. Before the lesson started, the student had arrived in the classroom. Wow, isn't sentence number 1 and number 2 exactly the same? Oh yes, the only difference is that I put the first action in the first part of the sentence, in this case, and the second action in the second part of the sentence. But in the sentence number 2, I do exactly the opposite. I set the first action in the second part of the sentence and the second action in the first part of the sentence. It is a little bit strange, but I only want you to see that it is exactly the same. It doesn't matter the order, but which action is first. And always the first action is in past perfect and the second one in past simple, okay? For the negative, it is exactly the same, but with the auxiliary verb in negative. Antonio hadn't found the book when Elo asked him. The student hadn't arrived in the classroom by the time, which is another connector, the lesson started. And I can also say the classroom started just when the student had arrived. In the sentence number 3, I am also altering the natural order. I set the first action in the second place and the second action in the first place, but it is exactly the same. Only just is another type of connector, which I'm going to explain you later, okay? And finally, for the question, as always, start with the auxiliary verb. Had Antonio already found the book when Elo asked him? Hadn't the student arrived in the classroom by the time the lesson started? And any type of question, do it in the beginning, okay? Now, the structure of the past perfect continuous is similar, but in a continuous way. You have to use the auxiliary verb to be, but in past participle, and the verb in ing. For example, Antonio had been looking for the book when Elo asked him. Or the student had been watching Christian while he was decorating the classroom. Now pay attention to one detail. Remember that I cannot use some verbs in the continuous form, and they are the static verbs. That's why I am changing them, and I don't say Antonio had been finding, which sounds strange. And I don't say the student had been arriving, which also sounds a little bit strange, okay? That's why I changed the verb. And also, look at the second sentence. The student had been watching Christian while he was decorating the classroom. Isn't that the past continuous? Yeah, because the past perfect can also be used together with the past continuous, not only with the past simple, okay? Anyway, for the negative and the question, it is exactly the same. Antonio hadn't been looking for the books when Elo asked him, and had Antonio been looking for the book when Elo asked him? Now, let's talk about the connectors. There are mainly two, when and by the time. The student had already arrived when the lesson started, and by the time the lesson started, the student had already arrived. And also I have got just, which is a little bit different because it means that both actions are very close in time. For example, imagine that Chris decorate the room 5 minutes before the students arrive. So I say, Chris had finished decorating the room just when the students arrive. I mean, Christian finishes and suddenly the students open the door and enter the classroom, okay? That's the only difference. So, that's pretty much everything. I hope you liked the video, and remember, if you want to see a lot of Christmas presents this Christmas, you need to follow us on Instagram and visit our website, okay? Be happy and have a nice day, guys.